And here we are, guys, in game number 4 on Antigua Shipyard, spawning in the top right position as the blue Protoss. Down 1-2, LGIM first. His opponent, the teal Terran, in the bottom left, making a switch with the colors here. I like that. Teamless Sting, but you know, we've said this is really important for him. As he's teamless, he's been talking about getting a new sponsorship, looking for new teams, working on his English, and what better way to do that than crashing into the TSL round of 4? Yes, I said crashing.
Smashing there, Chill, as we do get into Antigua Shipyard. And let me elaborate a little bit on why Terran players like this map against Protoss. Eventually, in this game, a Protoss player would very much so like to take a third base. And that's going to be very difficult to do so against a good Terran player who consistently drops you on your third, in your main, right. and you spread so thin, and that usually actually makes Protoss hug to base for more time than they'd actually like, and even incorporate early blink into their strategy just to deal with drops per se.
Yeah, that's absolutely a critical point. If you look at the minimap and the distance between your main, your natural, and your third, you know, it doesn't look that far, but once you consider the unit pathing, twisting down to your natural, and then coming around to this high ground, and just the amount of surface area wrapping around these 3 bases, it's quite immense to defend it, as you pointed out.
Alright, and once again, Sting is taking gas, and first is going to get in and see it here. So he could open up very similar to how he did last time. He can go for a cheeky, faster expand, and then try to get the stuff up. But one thing's for certain, unlike map 1 and 2, is he has knowledge on what's kind of going on once again here, which seems to be another factory play here, but it can be anything. I say that, and the reason I say that is because 95% of the time it would be factory, but Sting's using builds that aren't even good, like Marauder Expand, so you know, it's very hard to predict what this actually is going to mean.
Right, and I bet First is going through turmoil in his mind. You know, he played very aggressively in game number 3, and it had a disastrous result. So now, does he want to play with full information and delay his expansion until he's got that observer out? Or, you know, does he say, well, my all-in doesn't work, I'm just going to expand more quickly? And it looks like he's answered that for us right now, going for the second assimilator. And, you know, at what point are we going to see First just say, okay, he's not playing cheesy aggressive, he's playing these strange builds, I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to expand quickly and take the economic lead.
Dude, this probe micro is so insane inside the main. It's still alive until 2 Marines come out. He spotted the factory. He saw the lack of second gas as well, even though it could go down a little bit later. That was excellent. That was so nice to keep that probe alive. And now he knows. Great. And if you think about how this series has gone from map 1 to map now, I've even forgotten what it is, map 4, is that he's basically got more and more information, more intel every game that the series has gone on. And even if you think about last series, he saw, yeah, gas, but is it going to be a tech lab? Is it going to be a factory? This time, he actually sees the factory. So to be honest, he can now get, you know, or choose his strategy deeper, and it's going to be an expansion play first, and then most likely into Robo again like before.
Right, and I like this. He scouted that there's nothing extremely quick coming on. He scouted that there's no second gas when he was in there, and the factory, as you mentioned. So very safe to take his expansion. He's got quite a bit of gas saved up first, that is. So we're going to see the robotics drop very shortly, I would imagine. Sting is still being active with his SEV, scouting around as much as possible. He would love to swing by this stalker of First and get back into the main base and to see that natural. Meanwhile, Sting has quite a few Marines pushing forward. Starport is complete. We should see the medevac on the way. Yes, there it is. And we should see the 3rd Hellion start up for Sting just shortly. There it is as well.
And this very easily can transition over into a tank Marine push from here. Could be Club Banshee. Those are the 2 options most likely going to be chosen here by taking double gas. Otherwise, there's no need to take double gas. But the Hellion drop could be very deadly. But as we talked about, First knows what's going on. He kind of has a sense of it, knows the factory's down, and knows that this is most likely what's happening. So I expect a pylon at the back of his base, units inside his main, units on his natural, and he's already gone up to a 4th gateway as well, just kind of ramping up that production, making sure that he's actually able to hold on to this push.
And as you mentioned, of the viable options from Sting, we see tech labs being added on to both the factory and the starport, as well as a second barrack, so no expansion plans in the future of Sting's mind, just pushing forward. Probe is going to catch all these Terran units moving forward, but is not going to catch sight of that medevac, I don't believe. So the elevator plan is still alive and well. Unfortunately, the observer is out for First, so he's got full vision on what's going on.
And right now the observer sees it, as you say. He's got to move his units very smartly. Putting everything to the main, isn't going to go down to the natural. He has a Guardian Shield available and a Force Field. If he brings down the Medivac, that's massive because then the Marines become so weak. Oh, he loses the Sentry though. That's pretty big indeed. But he has a lot of money in the bank, and if he continues to warping units, he should absolutely be fine here.
And we see the follow-up, a tank and a Banshee coming out for Terran. Meanwhile, Reactor being added on to the first barracks, second barracks wrapping up. And Sting is actually just going to give it up. He's going to lick his wounds, go back to his natural, continue to build up for phase 2 of this attack.
Yeah, this is such a smart play here by First, but the follow-up is coming. Tank and Banshee. Without Cloak, of course, can't afford to go tanks and Banshees here. And it's going to be a very deadly secondary all-in. Especially because the natural's been halted for production in terms of probe count. But to be honest, against like a 1-1-1 build, as long as you know it's coming, you don't need to be higher than 35 probes. You just need additional units down. A Forge is coming down, which is very surprising here. You know, that's going to be something that could hurt him or could help him, depending on if that upgrade actually comes out, because that's taken away from Immortal production. Oh, he actually cancels it upon seeing nothing on the natural there. That's really smart. And now he immediately chronobusts out Immortal, so he needs him to fight against the tanks.
And here comes the Banshee for Sting, going to swing into the natural, try to find a hole in the defensive first, but he's got Observers and Sentries and Stalkers out to be able to deal with that Banshee. Banshee not even going to take a shot and fly back. And as you mentioned, the Observer flying into Sting triggers the reaction from First. He realizes exactly what's going on. He's got a second Observer right by the central Zenlog Watchtower, completely seeing everything that's going on for Sting.
And this is going to be very interesting to see if he can hold this. It's going to be tight, but he should be okay. His pro production has stopped at 38, which is okay. And with 2 additional gateways coming down, he's at a total of 5 here. So he's looking pretty smart. And the Observer goes down in the center of the map there. That's really key because that's going to really hurt, of course, First Vision. But there is the secondary Observer anyway, just down the road. And is he going to break it? He has to pull all his SCVs, and he is pulling all his SCVs here, Chill. This is it. Right. Is he going to better break it down?
This is very well timed for Sting, as Siege Mode is just about to complete right before he wants to attack, and here he goes moving forward. Let's see how aggressive Sting can get, and First needs to be out there just a little bit, putting pressure so that Sting can't walk right into his natural and siege up, and here he is moving forward, going to get a few shots, and actually Sting surprisingly pulls back, wants to wait for his SCVs, and begins his siege quite a ways away from the natural.
Yeah, and that's more and more time that First has to build a decent army size. Remember, these Immortals have to target down these tanks. At the same time, he has to keep them away from the Marines and SCVs. That's the real difficult part with actually getting the Immortals to target down the tanks. Really strong position that Sting is starting to set up if he hugs this, but at the same time, in goes First.
And here comes the flank from the high ground with the Stalkers trying to focus down the tanks. One tank going down, and now the Immortals getting right up, but the Banshees are able to deal so much damage. Looks like the Force Field actually kept the Zealots away from the tanks, but all the tanks go down. Now the Banshee's able to float away from the Stalkers on the low ground and able to deal a lot of damage trying to take down the Immortals. More Stalkers being worked in.
Yeah, more Stalkers being warped in, and that's all he really needs to hold this off. The Force Field's trapped the Marines. There was no kiting from the Marines available, which the Zealots started slitting throats across the map, and now Banshees fall down. 3 SCVs, a tank is there, but it looks like First has held on versus such an aggressive play once again by Sting, and First is looking to tie this series up. Your 2 Immortals lead the charge, Chill, and it looks like First is claiming his victory.
Yeah, able to charge for snipe out that tank, and now the Stalker's able to clean everything up. Sting with no options left, forced to call GG.